Why was it necessary to make it in black and white in this very particular? I know some of the answers, but I want to hear
Yeah.
you in this very particular, basically square format, and then let's talk about how they actually did that. So,
So with the square format, it's basically it was only used in cinema history for a very brief period of time. So it was when everything would move from silent cinema to sound cinema. That layover period, and that is when they use this. So not many films use it. And they basically said creating like almost like a perfect square image, which is really good for shooting tall objects of scale.
okay.
So you can shoot the lighthouse, but also you feel when you're shooting actors with it, it's good for close-ups. And both you put two people into like a location as well, it creates like a claustrophobic atmosphere because you can't see anything around them. Which then, if you put the sound, because I think sound's like a really key part of this film, the sound on it as well. There's all this stuff, like it's very claustrophobic film, like the very. I think you're supposed to get the fact that they're in close quarters to each other, aren't they? They're sharing the same room, they're sharing, like everything seems really small
Yeah.
and crap. I think it's supposed to create like a bit of a claustrophobic atmosphere. With the black and white, it's supposed to evoke the like an old world period, also supposed to evoke another worldly period. Obviously, you can see everything in color, but to get to that point as well, this is like another added layer on to the craft behind it. They are using vintage lenses as well that date back to the 19, some of them 1930s, some of them the early 1900s. They don't make these anymore, so they've had to attach these lenses on to almost get as close to the 1890s period as they can to evoke it. Then it's something with they had to then build custom built filters to go to the black and white so then they could use practical lighting because in black and white photography, reds turn to black. So they wanted to see all the nooks and crannies of both of our faces. And they wanted to see all the pores, they wanted to see all the wrinkles, the bags under the eyes. They wanted to create all these shadows. But then to use the practical lighting, they then had to use lenses in the shot. So even though it looks like they're looking at, it's like a candle, isn't it, or a lantern over dinner, that light is actually 10 times brighter than the average studio light, to the point where the crew had to wear
Yeah, I read
sunglasses
that.
and Robert Pattinson went to have to wear sun cream. Something's else being
Yeah, it's crazy to
it
make.
looks like a candle, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
looks like it's lit by candlelight.
yeah. Is that is such an interesting, like, technical fact that in order to make it such this dark movie, it
Yeah.
had to be so bright. I also read you mentioned like all of the all lenses and everything, but apparently because this was I don't know if it was is it Action Island that it was filmed on, or is it just that it was on the
It's
coast?
on that peninsula.
Right, yeah, that's the scene, but it was very much in the sea, very
Yeah.
much in the elements. They never. I always one of the fun facts I like telling people who don't know much about movies is that one of the things I learned by one of the tours in Los Angeles was that 90% of the time with rain they have to use machines
Yeah.
because even if it's really raining, rain has to be like 3 times thicker to actually appear on camera. And they were like, no, in this case, it was constantly raining. The rain was like crazy, so they actually used like the real elements. But because of that, the equipment was constantly breaking down.
Yeah, because actually, one of the key things I think that's in like shows how determined and how specific everything was is the fact that they built the lighthouse themselves.
Yeah.
So it's an actual 70-foot lighthouse
Yeah.
with the light that was stretched over 65 foot. So they said the lighthouse was a working lighthouse and it was actually shining in the town's like windows while they were filming. But they said the rock is faced. They chose a peninsula that had volcanic rock as well, so it would be all jaggedy and give like this sort of like feel to it. And then they said that they said basically 95% of the rain in that film was real, and it would already be raining, but for close-ups they would then be hosing Robert Pattinson in the face with more water. And he said at times that water was minus 25 degrees. So they said there was bits where the
Wait, how can water be -25? Isn't it frozen then?
yeah, so it splashed on the island and freeze.
Oh God.
So it was like absolutely miserable because Robert Eggers said there's like a mix. So I've got some nerd. I've got a couple of different copies of like the Blu-ray, but for the one that Universal Studios produced, he was like, I don't know where they must have found the 4 times that me and Willem Dafoe and Rob Pattinson were smiling. It's just to use it in that. He said it was like a really grueling shoot. But he said again that added to the atmosphere of the film. Like it feels like, I think, like even when they're drunk, it feels like they're drunk. Like it's like really good drunk acting. They're not like, it feels really real. But apparently they were just chugging water. But they said after take of chugging that water, like was making you want to vomit as well. One of the key aspects as well is that it's single camera, so they don't have multiple cameras on them at once. So it was just like, yeah, we're shooting it.
And they were like, oh, it's moldy, it's broken down.
So it is wild. So they made it like, it just really feels like they've really tried to make it feel like an actual situation that's happening, I guess.
Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content about classic movies for millennials, make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as following us on Instagram, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.